my name is Alex Wittenberg. I am the COO of airCFO, a finance and accounting partner for high growth startups. I'm joined here today by Bebe Kim, CEO of Basis. Bebe, thanks so much for joining me today. Really excited to chat with you about how airCFO has helped you build your accounting and finance function.
Hi, my name is Bebe. I am the CEO of a seed stage company called Basis. Basis is a financial planning application. We help companies pull all your financial data together and be able to plan it forward or analyze it or make reports. So not only am I, vigilant about our finances, naturally as an operator, this is what I do as a company as well.
Fantastic. And what did your accounting and finance function look like when you first started working with airCFO?
Yeah, so this is my third company. I had the privilege of starting out day one with $4 million in investment. And so managing money right from the get-go was very important to us. We hired quickly, and without airCFO, initially we just had a corporate credit card and randomly paying invoices here and there. And essentially we were flying blind. We didn't really know what was going on except for logging into our SVB checking account and checking how much money we had left every day.
So what were some of the biggest pain points that you experienced at that point in your company journey, and how did airCFO help solve those?
Yeah, so there are, several processes that were not structured that are very, very important as you scale. So one is the accounts payable process. Again, we just had bills to pay, whether it's through payroll or non-payroll vendor payments everywhere. And then there is bookkeeping in general, which for any seasoned operator, it's really important to stay on top of your P&L and be able to manage your company's resources. And without bookkeeping, that's not possible. So starting off right off the bat, those two processes were really important to professionalize.
Yeah, as a third-time founder, you knew better than a first-time founder would how important it is to get some of those maybe not as exciting aspects of starting a business in good form at the beginning. But I think that you made a good choice getting an early start on getting that side of the house in order.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the operational debt quickly piles up and it's very hard to do after the fact.
Right. So what were some of the key results that came about as a result of your work with the airCFO team?
Yeah, so in the beginning of a startup and for a very long time, it would be too much work there's a lot of work here, but not enough to hire a full-time, finance person. So it usually falls on the CEO to do, which takes away from the mind space to grow the business, which is like the CEO's main workflow, right? So by using a fractional finance service, and here specifically airCFO, I was able to free a lot of mental space to go focus on growing the team and product.
Got it. Now, I know you're very aware of the main players in the startup finance and accounting space. Could you speak for a minute about how airCFO compares and contrasts with some of the other companies that are offering similar services to high growth startups like yourself?
I look at two aspects. One is budget, and then the other is competency. So from a budget perspective, prices really vary from, you can work in the Filipino hours and contract directly with someone offshore for extremely low cost. But the management of that is actually pretty significant to be able to QA the work and whatnot. So I did not go that approach, and I strongly suggest that unless you're, for some reason prioritizing optimizing this cost, that's not the route you go. And on the extreme other end are, almost like law firm prices where shops charge around $8,000 a month to fully white glove everything. And that to me is like the high end of the budget. And it's not something that most startups have the budget to allocate at this time. And so to me, airCFO represents the right balance in cost effectiveness. Very, cost friendly, but also very effective. Everyone I work with is like a accounting major, English speaking, and works our US hours. So I really appreciated that. And then on the specialization side, accountants actually are trained to work for different types of businesses. And a venture-backed startup is a unique type of business that speaks its own language, has typical vendors that, are very technology driven. Like everyone uses Stripe or Shopify or some other tech service. And if you use a Main Street accounting firm that does not work in tech, they may not know what these vendors are and have a lot of questions there. So I think it's very important to work with a outsourced PTO service, CFO service that specializes in tech. So for me, airCFO checks both boxes, and there are actually not that many shops that do.
What is the specific aspect that you enjoy most about working with the airCFO team now that you've been on board for about a year at this point?
Yeah, so it's very important that this type of team is embedded in the main team, because this is core operations after all. Even though it's fractional, it's not completely outsourced. And what I like about airCFO is that they work in a way that feels very much like they are on our team. So they're in our Slacks, they're in our emails, and they're wherever we are. And that is extremely important to feel like, this core part of the company is being handled properly.
Yeah. And we're really excited to take on the finance part of the business as well, so that we can get even more ingrained as that product becomes available.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned the time savings that result from working with a company like airCFO that can take the accounting and bookkeeping off your plate. What has your team been able to accomplish with the time and money that you save from working with airCFO that has potentially helped you accelerate the business to a greater extent?
Yeah, it really allows us to minimize context switching, whether it's logging into different tools. So accounting sounds simple, but it requires a totally different mindset. You have to log into many different tools to pull reports and get everything together. And that time saved, it could be a couple hours here and there, but adds up every day. We're able to all just focus on our product sprints and get to market quickly. So we have our big product launch coming up that we're really excited about, and how we've been working on all these other miscellaneous tasks, because it would have weighed us down for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So would you recommend airCFO to an early stage founder who's looking for finance and accounting help? And if so, why would you recommend them?
Absolutely. I have already recommended airCFO to many founders, and they've also worked with you guys for about a year now, and I've heard great things from them as well. So I absolutely do. To reiterate, it's because you guys are, have a very reasonable cost structure, work as an embedded team fractionally in people's companies and not the other way around, making management of that relationship frictionless. And then also, you guys come with domain knowledge. You are well versed in tools like Slack, Notion, and new finance products like Ramp and Brex. We don't have to tell you what they are, and you're willing to just pick it up and run with it. And that has been extremely, culturally compatible for us and for the companies we recommended.
Yeah, the recurring theme in this conversation seems to be the cultural fit with between a venture-backed startup and its accounting firm, and that can actually be a really big source of tension, which is something that in the early stages can be a huge, as you put it, just weight on the company's ability to move quickly. And so,
Absolutely.
yeah, I really appreciate that you feel that airCFO is a good cultural fit for what you're trying to do over there at Basis.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you guys didn't know who our vendors were and asked a bunch of questions, then it would be like me doing the bookkeeping, right? And then also, I appreciate that every time we do speak, you create automatic rules so that it doesn't come up the second time. And it's, we both work towards automating a lot of this work, and that's very great.
What is one thing you'd want someone who is considering using airCFO to know about the services that we provide?
I would go back to just this cultural compatibility of hitting the ground running with the company, and I think that's just great. There's no ramp time, and you really feel like your finance stack is in order. So if you're considering airCFO as an accounting option, I would absolutely go for it. Not only are they cost effective, but they're culturally compatible to understand that they need to be hitting the ground running and letting you do your best work, which is not back office operations.
Fantastic. Last question. Is there anything else that you'd like to add for the people of the internet about your experience with airCFO or choosing an accounting and finance partner?
Yeah, no, I would also like to say that I use their tax function too. And that tax team is a separate team. They have specialized knowledge in tax. They're very much connected with the other teams, so I don't have to explain something twice. And they're on top of things like the R&D credit applications and things that I hear about that should be done. It is getting done, so I have full faith in that team as well.
Thank you so much for your time today, Bebe. It was really great to talk to you.
Yeah,
And we at airCFO are really looking forward to being along for the ride as you continue with your startup journey.
absolutely. Thanks, guys.